Ooh, I think we got it. Let's test one more time. So it flies in, everything blurs. This is really in focus and then flies out. Nice, there you go. So all you have to do is play around with it a little bit. So I recorded a very long video explaining step by step how I did that, but I'm in the middle of a burnout right now. I'm not gonna edit that video. So let me just explain to you how the whole thing works. First thing was coming up with the idea. This is a tip that I've been giving a lot lately. Every idea you get should stem from a culmination of your skills, your time, and of course, your passion. This is pretty much the only way that your ideas will ever become reality. If your idea doesn't take into account your skills, you will be lost. You will have no idea how to do something, you might be stuck. If there's no passion, obviously you're gonna give up. And if you don't give yourself a time frame, you might end up working on it forever, which will make you lose passion, even though you might learn some new skills. So in my case, I knew I wanted a 3D alert to fly on screen and blur the background while it does. Of course, we're doing all of this in OBS Studio. So fly on screen, what can make things move in OBS Studio? The Move plugin. If you're not familiar with it, watch more of my videos. I knew that I wanted it to be 3D. What can make things 3D in OBS Studio? We have the 3D block filter and of course the 3D panel, but it's kind of redundant. And then I want to blur stuff. Boom, boom. And that will be the composite blur plugin for OBS Studio. And finally, an alert should display information, right? How do we display information? Like the follower's name and dynamically change the text. We're gonna use Streamer.bot. All right, so that's how I come up with ideas. The next step was actually making the panels. Now this is where I have good news for you. If you go to photop.com, you click on templates and you type my name in the search bar, you will find alert banners, which you can click on and it will give you this file. You'll see 3 groups. You can turn this one off and then turn this one on and then turn this one on. And to export them, you can do File, Export as PNG. While you're there, you can modify it, create your own, do whatever you want. With that in mind, I added an image source in OBS Studio, then added a text source. Now, what I do with text usually is type a random name, and then I'll press Ctrl E and set positional alignment to center. That will make sure that it stays centered no matter what. And then I set bounding type to maximum size only, which means that no matter the length of the name, it's actually going to adjust and stay within that boundary. And then from there, I can adjust the bounding box. Like if I grab this and I do this, you'll see that the text will do its best to stay within it, right? So let me put some color so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, I didn't put those 2 elements, the image and the text, inside of a group. You should know this, but you do this by holding Shift, selecting both sources, right-clicking, and going to Group Selected Items, right? Now, to the group, I added a 3D block filter. Now, I'll put a link in the description. I already made a video on it. Now, this is the result that you'll get, and you can do whatever you want in 3D. And of course, what we do is we animate it. We animate the scale. We made it basically rotate away and then fly in so it gets closer and rotate the right way. And at the bottom here, we add wiggle rotation and we bump up the wiggle all the way up, okay? All right, so for animating, we use the Move plugin, as I said, and the Move plugin will usually give you a bunch of Move filters. We used Move Value because Move Value lets you animate the value of previous filters. Our only filter right now is 3D block. So what I did, as you can see here, is have a move value for the first position, for the middle position, so when it's on screen, and then for the final position, when it flies off. So every single time I would go to the 3D block, manually place it, and then go to my move value and click get values to record that position for each, okay? Then to make sure that they would play back to back with the timing that I wanted, I just scrolled down, made sure to set next move to on screen, so that's my middle position. And then in on screen, I set my next move to final position. That way, by turning on first position, everything plays and it flies in and it flies out. Now let me turn on 3D block. We'll play it. It might be a little laggy. I have a lot of things running right now, but this is pretty much what it does. It comes in, you see the wiggle is what's moving it slightly, and then it flies out. That's it. Now I'm gonna remove the background, and of course I'm gonna add this scene as a source in my other scenes. And this was kind of tricky because we have multiple elements here. We have my camera and then we have my gameplay, and I want everything to be blurred except for alerts, for example. So what I did is add a composite blur filter to each of those. I happen to have my camera inside of a group on top of it already being nested, and also my gameplay in a group. So it was super easy for me to just add a composite blur filter. You can see it here, just like that. This is composite blur, it's a plugin. Google composite blur OBS, you'll find it. But I needed to animate this. At the same time that my 3D panel is flying in, I want things to dynamically blur in, slowly blur in, and then slowly blur out. How do I do that? The same way, move value allows you to basically grab that slider automatically, slide it in, and then slide it out. So you'll see I have blur 0%, move value with the blur at 0%, and then blur 100%, which is 15 pixels. And this time you can see custom duration, a whole second to get there, and then an end delay to make it wait basically before it starts going back. And this time for the next move, I picked reverse. So any action it took, it's just gonna reverse that action instead of having another move value filter or making it go to the first one. The first one sends us to this one. So sending it back to the first one will just mean a loop of blurring and unblurring. We don't want that. So I added that to my game scene and also my full screen camera, because those are the two scenes where I'm pretty much active, where I want this to show. Once again, my camera happens to be in a group. So if I click on blur, actually I could just click on it and show you. If I click on it, it'll blur slowly, stay for about a second, 2 seconds, and then unblur. Perfect. Then it was time to use Streamer.bot. First thing I did in my action, I called my action follow for the follow panel. I created 3 in total, but I only went through with 2. First one was to add Twitch ad target info. This basically grabs the information from whoever triggered your action. In this case, my trigger is gonna be a Twitch follow, because we need that information to use later on in the text, okay? So when it says user login, I put user as a variable, and then I ask it to basically trigger that first position on the 3D panel. Since the complete animation is already settled in OBS Studio, that's the only thing it needed. Then I tell it, hey, change the text. This happens pretty much at the same time as the previous one, but if you want to tell it to change the text and wait a little bit so it doesn't appear, it's fine. In our case, the 3D panel is coming from off screen, so it has plenty of time. And as you can see here, where it asked me for the text, hold up. I don't even know. I have user here and then I have target user. I don't even know if that's redundant or not. It seems to work fine, so we'll see. Anyways, I have target user as my variable here because that's one of the examples. So it switches the text to that variable to get the name of the person who triggered the whole thing. And then what I do is tell it, hey, on my full screen scene, my just chatting scene, activate that blur 0 filter that plays its own blur animation. Then in my game scene, for my cam, activate the blur 0 filter. And also for my game, activate the blur 0 filter. There you are. Here I have like a command to test it, but we're not even gonna use that. I can delete it. If someone follows me, I can right click and test it, and it's actually gonna simulate a different name from my followers. So I'm gonna bring that down. So this is just with the plain background so we can make sure everything is working. Okay, so let's run a test right now. We're gonna test trigger and we should see it fly in, do its little thing for a couple seconds, and then fly out. Let's do one more test without the background. And you can see the concept is pretty much straightforward. Flies in with the name of the person who triggers the alert and then flies out. Which means that on my just chatting scene, which is this one, I'm here, I'm talking, hi, how ya doing? Someone follows, it's going to fly in. I'm gonna say, hey, Venture, thank you so much for the follow. It flies out and it deblurs. And of course, while I'm right here playing my game, I'm sorry, the camera position is awkward. We're gonna test the trigger and you'll see it fly in, actually blur everything, lag my computer a little bit, and then fly out. So you definitely want to be careful when it comes to blurring things out, especially when it comes to multiple heavy sources. This is my recording profile, so I'm in like 1440p. It's probably screaming at me right now. But hopefully you get the concept and you get, how I managed to make it happen. and yeah, how I executed it. And if I'm lucky, you'll get your own creative ideas from it. Once again, the images are available for free. The whole template is actually available for free. Just make sure you check the link in the description to get them. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, you would probably enjoy my other Streamer.bot related videos. This is where we do like creative stuff. So remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Also follow me on Twitch. I stream every full moon.